Hey everybody, welcome to my crib. What you see here is a bookshelf full of books, and I've gotten asked before a lot of times, what astrology books do I have? What astrology books do I recommend? So I figured why not actually just go through my library with you guys so you guys can see it. First off though, I have to address, I get the short king allegations all of the time. This is a 6-foot bookshelf. I'm not short. I'm 6'1", and if I fix my posture, I'm 6'2". So let's go ahead and get started. Come on in. Also, first book on the list, the Bible. A lot of you hoes need Jesus and not crystals or tarot cards anymore. Please read the Word of God. That's first and foremost, and it does not. This goes by my nightstand, by the way. Second, a lot of these books are bought off Amazon, but a lot of them, and I would argue the majority of them, are locally bought from Shining Lotus Metaphysical Bookstore. If you are in Denver, technically it's not Glendale, but off of Colorado Boulevard, go to Shining Lotus. They have the best used astrology book section I've ever seen in my life. And I could point out a lot of these books that were bought used for really, really cheap. So let's just go ahead and get started. So we're going to go from left to right. Come over here. So this book, I bought it in 2020. I bought a bunch of books off of Amazon, and this was recommended to me for some reason. This is the Astrology Restored by William Ramsey. As you could see here, this is Benjamin Dykes. Maybe there's another Dykes somewhere. Benjamin Dykes is such a slept-on resource for ancient texts. He translates a lot of Persian texts and things in Arabic. They're all great. You should have them. If I could recommend any of them, it's going to be Dorotheus of Sidon. That's kind of important. I get so much out of Persian Nativities, Volume 1 and Volume 2. They're very goofy, very fun. This one, if this is Hephaestion of Thebes. I haven't actually gotten too deep into this one yet, but this one, Theophilus of Edessa. I fuck with this book so hard because this book is the most masculine astrology book. It's literally about military inceptions. Like when you want to besiege a city, when you want to like take people captive, this is the astrology book for that. And why this is cool is it was written by the war astrologer for the Umayyad Caliphate, which the Umayyad Caliphate was the Islamic Caliphate that like took over North Africa and they had like one of the most successful military campaigns of all time. Great book. I haven't really gotten to this one, Leopold of Austria. I need to though. This one, Saul and Mashallah. And I'm going over all these books too because in my like Learn Astrology membership tier, I am using these books to teach astrology most of the time. So I'm kind of saving you a lot of money and just you don't have to buy all this shit and I go through it for you. Okay, so there's that. You got to have Chris Brandon's Hellenistic Astrology. It's so funny when people get scared of this book. This is the easiest read ever. It's gigantic, but it's so easy. Like this literally takes no time to read. Got to have that. 3 Books on Life, Marsilio Ficino. This is actually half in Latin, half in English. Such a great book. It's literally all of this up until the very last isn't even astrology. It's like, here's how to solve a tummy ache and how to like take a shit in the morning to feel better because that's what God wants you to do. That's pretty much what this book is. Really great. 3 books of occult philosophy. That's good. Christian astrology, William Lilly. Zoom in on the hat here. That's right. Planets and transits. We like Valens. Of course, we got Demetra George here. We got another version of Christian astrology. This is book. What is this? Book 3. I don't remember if this is all 3 books or not. We've got Firmicus. So I've actually been told that this is the shitty translation of Firmicus that I have. But I don't know. Like I don't have time to like figure out what's the good translation and not. I just buy the book and hope for the best, to be honest. But this is also mandatory. Like if I could say the mandatory reading list so far is Dorotheus, Saul Mashallah, Hellenistic Astrology, Demetra George's books, Firmicus, and then I've got some more. The Picatrix. This book I bought when I was making my fixed star lecture for let me put you that for the Zodiac course, and I was blown away with how good it was as a resource. So I got that. I got Brady's book of fixed stars, Paul of Alexandria. So I have a trifecta. In fact, you could zoom in right here. So my trifecta of source ancient astrology text is Paul of Alexandria, Ptolemy Tetrabiblos, and James Holton's Rhetorius. These 3 texts are literally pretty much all you need. They're very short reads. They're incredibly they're not long-winded like me. They get straight to the point. I would really recommend these 3 books if you just want source text astrology, which is honestly the best way to learn it. Besides, of course, secondary, becoming a member of my website. Paul of Alexandria, great book. He goes into a lot of like really funky shit. And the reason I recommend these 3 is like Ptolemy goes into like the more spiritual, not really spiritual, but more so like the seasonal relationship. Rhetorius is just like, dude, here's what's going on. And then Paul of Alexandria kind of talks about things that they don't talk about. I bought this little series at Shining Lotus. Look at this. It says book 17, 16, 18, and 24. I have no idea where the first 20 are or the first 15, but I found these used and they were kind of interesting. It's like, Jean Baptiste Morin. I've heard of this astrologer before. I need to get more into it, but there's a whole series that I need to get. I haven't gotten into these just yet, so I can't actually give my fair opinion. Because again, a lot of these, there's books that I've like read. There's other books that I've like kind of gotten through, but I haven't gotten through it all the way. This is a good book. This is again, Benjamin Dyke's website. I should get an affiliate code for his website. Dan Rudger, Astrological Houses. Another sleeper book on the fixed stars. This is Vivian Robson, his book about fixed stars and constellations. Incredible resource for learning about the fixed stars. Robert Zoller's Arabic parts. So this is like the lot of fortune, lot of spirit, lot of arrows shit. Awesome book. This will lot pill you. If you haven't been lot pilled yet, get lot pilled. Dynamics of aspect analysis. You know, back in my Twitter days, someone posted this and I bought it simply because it looked cool. I've skimmed through it and it was just kind of like, it's kind of a lot. It's kind of like, all right, we get to the point. It's very new age modern, but it's cool. Now here, so this is, let me show you how I organize this. By the way, this is all very ugly, okay? These are like my main astrology texts. I got a few more down here, and then a lot of these are like my reads, what Cam White as a person is into, because I'm more than just whatever you project onto me, because I'm just a human being on a screen to you guys that you've developed some parasocial relationship with. So I am a human being with interests, and these are my interests, and they're probably pretty guessable. But some cool stuff I have. When my dad died, he was not a reader, but he did have some cool firefighter stuff. So this is like, look, this is like a 1960s manual preparing for initial attack on firefighting. My Jupiter in Capricorn loves this type of shit. Common denominators of fire behavior on tragedy and near-miss wildland fires. Oh, that just, that makes me feel good reading that out loud. The revolutionary way to use your body for total energy. Have you ever had books that just like, you don't even know where you got them and they just kind of show up and you can't get rid of them? I have gotten rid of so many books and I regret it. And this is one of those books where I thought I got rid of this and it just, I don't know why. I've never read it. I don't even know where it came from. In fact, actually, I think at my old roommates in Denver in 2019, I think they gave me a bunch of books and I was like, okay. And I just ended up getting a bunch of books. Another awesome, it even has my dad's name. My dad's name was Craig White, so C. White. Forced Firefighting Fundamentals. Look at this. This is so old. It's so sick. And then I've also got this incident response pocket guide for firefighting shit too, which is just, I love shit like that. Anyway, if you come in over here, we've got a pretty sweet list of more astrology books. Come in on here, if you could zoom in, or you zoomed in. So, the Book of Instruction and the Elements of the Art of Astrology. I thought this was about art and astrology. It's not. But it's still cool. Prometheus the Awakener. Richard Tarnas's take on Uranus. And again, I keep thinking about how David Palmer fucked my brain up by saying Uranus. I started saying Uranus because of David Palmer, by the way, because he said it that way. And I was like, oh, that's a great way to say Uranus without saying your anus. Because you guys know me. If I said your anus every time, I'm not going to be able to do my job. So I got to say it in a different way. So he said Uranus and just stuck with me. But I've been trying to switch over to Uranus. Anyway, that's like a really hard thing to do. But his take on Uranus, Prometheus the Awakener, this is the book. Yes, Richard Tarnas also has this really long-winded book that's really long, and I don't really believe anyone that said that they've read it all the way. I've read some of it. I've read enough. I get the gist. But this is a very little book. It's great. Astrological Lore of the Ages. Haven't gotten into this. Haven't read this. Haven't read this. Haven't read that. Deb Holding, shout out Deb Holding. She's a real OG. If you guys ever participate in the STA astrology classes, Deb Holding, Wade Caves, I took their classes on horary astrology. I'm not that good at it. I like horary astrology, but they're really, really good. Deb Holding has a really good book about the houses. Would recommend. The Lunation Cycle, Dane Rudgier. There's a guy on Twitter and on Instagram, and I literally followed him on Instagram recently because he has this tweet that maybe I'll send this to Parker and I'll have her put her in. But it's only for like the 5 people. If you know Dane Rudgier, I'll just put it up there. And if you know Dane Rudgier, you'll know why this tweet is so funny. But I can't think about Dane Rudgier without thinking about the Centaur guy. But Dane Rudgier is very long-winded, very new age, 20th century, everything's psychological. But this is good. Stephen Arroyo's book on exploring Jupiter, kick ass, really good book. I refer to it all the time. Liz Green's Saturn, great. The inner planets, this is about like Mercury, Venus, and I think Mars too. I don't remember. But it's like a lecture, like a live lecture. And then again, Ptolemy, Rhetorius, these are musts. You must buy these. And then I have Bonatti's 146 Considerations. This is another Ben Dykes translation. And then this is like a book about stars or something like that. Okay. So let's wrap up on the rest of these astrology books, and then I'll go into what else I have. So the astrology books start here. I have Astrology for Self-Empowerment. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, this was my first astrology book. And I was like, whoa, I'm into self-empowerment. And I read this, and I don't know who David Strassener is, but this is like someone who only knew so much. I appreciate it for what it was, but I couldn't recommend it. But it's just cool that I still have this book. When I was going through all of my stuff, I forgot I still had this. Cosmologies by Nicholas Campion is really good. Fixed Stars, again, Christopher Warnock, great resource. Primary Directions. This was all of the, in 2019, it was, or maybe it was 2018, 2019, it was like, oh my God, fucking Martin Ganston's fucking translation of Primary Directions is going to be so good. This was hot shit, and I never actually read it. Primary Directions is probably the only timing technique I really don't know anything about, and that it's super duper accurate, and I remember doing it, but it's just been on the shelf. I would probably recommend this book because I've heard nothing but amazing, amazing things, but I just can't say much about it because I haven't really gotten into it, but I need to. It's one of those books that like has the Jumanji sound for me. Like it wants me to read it. Judgment of Nativities. This is pretty good. I would just recommend getting any other Ben Dykes book, or this is James Holden, but it's kind of the same thing. The Professional Astrologer. Okay, so if you want to be a professional astrologer, you should buy this book. This book, though, it's written by like 80 people. So it's not like one, contributors. It's like literally every astrologer ever. I feel like it's written for people who are afraid to do astrology, and it's not really about the astrology business, which is really unfortunate because in that regard, the astrology business is like, you're not going to learn anything from this. They're not going to teach you like understanding how to actually operate and run an astrology business, which I think would be more worthwhile. But this is really good, and there is a lot of good stuff in here, like how to do consultations, all of that kind of good stuff. Again, I actually have a podcast with Wade Caves, if you haven't been Evangeline Adams pilled, you need to take that pill. This was a bad bitch. This was a bad bitch before bad bitches were bad bitches. She crawled so you can walk. Like, Evangeline Adams, like, this was a fucking bad bitch in astrology. The reason why it's okay for women to like go up to men and be like, let me read your tarot cards, like, this bitch made an impact on that. She's super cool. I keep calling her bitch, but like I'm using that in a fun way, not a derogatory way. So everyone stop getting mad. Of course, we got Gordon White's Chaos Protocols. If you haven't read this yet, if you're into what's the word I'm looking for? Magic, chaos magic. This is a really good one. A lot of fun stuff here. I did one of the things one time, and a lot of things happened. How anti-gravity built the pyramids. Okay. Only real ones understand this. The only way that the pyramids worked is there's also the place called, it's not Crystal Castles. There's a place in Florida where a guy built a whole rock museum, and people think it's the same technology that they used to build the pyramids. And pretty much a lot of it's like anti-gravity stuff. It's really interesting. You have to just find that little corner of YouTube. Anyway, zooming over here, we have United States Marine Guidebook of Essential Subjects, Numerology, haven't read that. The Pocket Guide to Prepper Knots. My sister bought this for me. I suck at tying knots. It's like we all have things that, like, for example, you might be good at a bunch of things, but like there's one part of it that you're not good at. For me, I can't tie a knot the same. I could barely tie my shoes. So I need to learn this. Ayn Rand, I have this book on, I'll pull out both of these. So now we're getting out of the astrology book section, by the way. We're getting more into the other stuff. Here's you know what I don't like? Here's my thing about Ayn Rand, okay? People are like, Ayn Rand, she just believes in capitalism, and this is such a boring book, and she's such a weird person. And then these people will be like, Karl Marx has good points. Like, I don't understand why Ayn Rand is this person that everyone hates, but then everyone's like, well, Karl Marx and communism. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry. The amount of shit that capitalism has done versus communism is genuinely insane to compare. But anyway, I bought this book because it looked really interesting. I haven't read it yet, though. So maybe it's horrible and maybe I'm wrong. Seneca on the shortness of life. Life is long is if you know how to use it. This was actually a really good read. The Intellectual Life, good read. The Sky, Mystery, Magic, and Myth, fine. The Unfettered Mind, kick-ass. Discipline is Destiny. This is Peterson, Field Guide to Medicinal Plants and Herbs. I still don't know shit about it. Here's this fun book. At the Denver First Friday Art Walk, a Native American man had a booth with this book, and I was interested. And he's pretty based, it seemed like, but Artificial Intelligence and the New Messiah, it was foretold. Are we listening? I haven't read it yet, but he's pretty much like, yeah, AI is the new God, and it kind of is, and that goes into the idea of like, when people are like the Age of Aquarius is when humans die. It's just what it is. Like, there's no getting out of that one. When I mean, we have a book right here, Stealing Fire. This is about them. They're trying to create souls with technology. They are trying to mimic the human soul with technology. So there's that. Anyway, I've been meaning to read this book. Let's go into the other fun stuff. Or actually, I got a few more astrology books. Post-colonial astrology, Alice Barkley Cat. This is a pretend astrology book. It's pretty much like a PR stunt for why communism's good, wrapped up in astrology. I didn't care for it. I had higher hopes. Wasn't that good? Astrological History of Masha Allah. This was actually a used book I bought again. That was really good about talking about the flood, the Great Flood. That was actually really interesting. Union Symbolism and Astrology. Haven't bought that one yet because I bought it used. My buddy Nate Craddock, Charted Territory. This is kind of like his own personal memoir with astrology. It's really good. Predicting weather events with astrology. I've tried to get into it, but I just get bored. And then, of course, you're not an astrologer unless you have some ephemeruses. So, those are the last ones. Remarkable Luminous Phenomena. I got this as a gift. Still haven't read it, but it is very fun. Feng Shui for dummies, because I'm really into Feng Shui. Or at least I try to be. The Gorilla's Guide to the Baofeng Radio. I'm going to have a lot of videos in the future about understanding the times that we're going to be going into. And I have another war book. But long story short, I think RF frequency, like ham radio, is going to be something that I don't think it's going to come back into vogue, but it's going to be something more and more people just end up having to use for various reasons. The Carnivore Code, Paul Saladino, even though he's not a carnivore anymore, which is a whole thing, but whatever. Sorry, I don't want all my books to fall, because that's what I feel like is about to happen. Anyway, Ray Dalio's Changing of the World Order. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Ray Dalio. So this dude I went here in Vegas. I went to this guy's lecture at the whatever meetup, at the astronomer meetup. This dude was like the first Iraqi, it's been so long. This was like almost 8-10 years ago. He was like the first Iraqi astronomer that like got to go into the Baghdad School of Astronomy or something like that. And it was really, really good. But what was really amazing about this, it was like Las Vegas Stargazers meetup, was a guy. So for the ladies that watch this, 80% of my following is women. And a good portion of them are women in their 40s and 50s. They're going to understand this when I say this. The younger ladies may not. Dudes, doesn't matter if they're black, white, or Mexican, whatever, when they hit about 40 or 50, they get really into something. And they get so into something that they're probably better than 99.9% of people at it, but they just don't tell anybody. At this meetup, there was a guy who didn't say shit, who lived out in the desert, who had a cabin that he built in his backyard that was a telescope. And he showed us photos of galaxies I had never seen before in my life. And it was literally the most life-changing. And he was just like some guy that lived in like Pahrump. And he was like, yeah, I have like a, I don't know, $200,000 telescope set up in my backyard. And I fucking hate human beings. So I'm not going to show this to anyone except for you guys. And I was like, and it was literally like jaw-dropping. It was amazing. So that was a really big thing. The Devil's Chessboard is about the CIA and the murder of JFK and stuff like that. I actually bought this off of a Tim Dillon recommendation. Full Catastrophe Living. If you know about this book, let me know. I bought this during 2020 when I was going through I signed up for BetterHelp, okay? And during that time, I heard about this book and I still haven't read it because it's so big. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. You should read this. Again, oh my God, there's something, this book, there's like, in the beginning of this book, he's like going over his friends and he's like, here's why I like this friend and here's why I like this friend. And he goes over, he's like, and I like my friend's dad because he says to not diddle little boys. And you're just kind of like, whoa, did he just say that? It was very funny. And you should buy this book just to read that because it's really funny. 48 Laws of Power. I thought it was cringe for a long time, but I've heard a lot of stuff. So I bought it and I'm starting to read it. Okay. I have a funny thing about this book. So F.A. Hayek, The Road to Serfdom. Pretty much this is a book about like totalitarian control. I recently saw people that I know that were like, I want to read books about bad governments because Trump's in office. And it's very funny thinking about someone reading about this book, thinking about this administration being this when like, I was reading this during COVID and this was a like, whoa, we're in a different timeline. Anyway, what else? There's this Wes Watson book. I don't really fuck with Wes Watson anymore, but this book is really funny because if you know Wes Watson, he wrote this book. It's literally like he just did a video the whole time and just said fuck every other word. Mr. Beat. If you know Mr. Beat, not Mr. Beast, he is an American history YouTuber, and I bought his president's book. It's a great. I use it as a reference to like when I like want to do research on presidential elections and stuff. It's just a great book to have. Thomas Sowell, Conflict of Visions. I peeped this book. I haven't gotten too deep into it yet, but it's titled A Conflict of Visions, Ideological Origins of Political Struggles. Thomas Sowell is incredibly based and has great opinions on a lot of things that are different and straight from the narrative. And you should question the narratives that you were told on things. Fry the Brain. This book is sick as fuck. It's about urban sniper warfare. And this is a really good book because I got into this because, look, we're going into war stuff. I want to know how to protect myself. I want to know what's going on. This book really lays out, like, if there was a U.S. Civil War, what it would look like. It's mostly going to look like the Troubles during the, like, 1960s and 1990s in Ireland. It's mostly going to be, like, a lot of sniper shit and a lot of, like, car bombs for the most part. But you learn a lot with this. This is a really incredibly fun read. Like, I've read a lot of this book, and that says a lot because I'm usually kind of bored reading. Book Stop Falling. I will get book stoppers, okay, everybody? I can hear you saying that. Okay. The Art of War, haven't gotten into that. The Go-Giver, this is one of my favorite books of all time. You need to read this book. It is one of the best books of all time. The Go-Giver. Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century, Heather Hang and Brett Weinstein. I forgot what it is. Anyway, this is a great book. I love them to death. People who think that they're grifters are really funny because they're actually just biologists and they just explain things in biology. Real Anthony Fauci. There is a reason why Fauci has not sued RFK Jr. over this book, and it's because it's actually all fucking factual. And when you read this book, you will go, oh, it's actually a really disturbing read. It's really hard to read. It's really fucked up. And it's all fucking real because it is every sentence has a site source to it. Taming Your Outer Child. This was a book I kind of got into. This is a book I just bought called Mechanical Properties of Wood. Power Mind, don't know where the fuck that came from. Notes on Nursing from Florence Nightingale. This is actually a very big historical book in terms of modern day nursing. This is The Prince I haven't read this book yet. It's Machiavelli, right? Yeah, Machiavelli the Prince. I've gotten to some of it. So I kind of got into like Carezza semen retention stuff a while ago. And I got recommended this book called The Multi-Orgasmic Man. Are you ready for this? This is the gayest book I've ever seen in my life. Are you ready? I, as a straight man, cannot have this being seen in my house. This guy looks like he's like absolutely ready to get bottomed so hard. This is the gayest and this is not what I bought, by the way. When I bought on Amazon, it was a different cover. And then I got this. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? This looks like how to take it in the ass and come all the time via your butthole. That's what this looks like. I've read some of it, but it's just come on. I didn't buy, this is not the book I bought. Anyway, it's really funny how fucking gay it is. I feel like I have to hide this. Heaven forbid someone comes over and they're like, what's this? Deep Work by Cal Newport. If you haven't read this yet, you are missing out. I got into this in 2020. Technician's class. I'm trying to get my ham radio license, but like I'm a Gen Z and just I don't care about FCC laws. I don't care that some boomer in a shack with ham radio jerks off all day to getting the FCC sicked on people who don't give a fuck about ham radio license. It's the radio. Just like I can say fuck on the internet. If I want to say fuck on ham radio, some old boomer's just going to have to suck a fucking cock about it. And there's a lot of technical stuff that I need to learn. But anyway, you got to get your license, even though in my opinion, it's a First Amendment issue. Aristotle Metaphysics. I've been needing to read this, but I bought it a while ago. These are more ham radio ones. War of Art. Amazing book. War of Art. Read that. This was I forgot what this book was about. And okay, the rest down here, I got, this is a book, Retro Suburbia. This is about like pretty much, what's the word I would use for this? Like using land better in terms of like urban environments for farming. So this book, everything's gonna fall, so I gotta be okay. So this book actually was a gift from a viewer named Jamie Brooks, and she wrote this really nice thing for me. This is in December of 2022. She's like, I don't know, something, you're great. But look, I'm in this book. She's like, here's all of the people that inspired me. And I'm so, there I am, right there. So that's kind of fun. It's like a big shout out. She's like, thank you to everybody who helped inspire this. So I have that. Jeremy McGrath, the king, the original king of motocross. I have his book. So here's some more astrology books. This is all going to fucking fall. Okay, so we'll just do this. Okay, so I have a few astrology books here. S&P 500s. These are all the charts for all of the stock in the S&P 500. But this is an old book. This is not current and up to date. But here's business charts, which is really cool. I did my U.S. Civil War book, Horoscopes of Western Hemisphere by Mark here in Penfield. I recommended this book, and a lot of people were like, why is this so expensive on Amazon? Why can't I find it? Again, Shining Lotus. I got this for, I don't know, let's see, with the $10 at Shining Lotus. I'm telling you, they've got the best use, and this is every state's birth chart, this country's birth chart. There's a lot of good charts in here. The American Book of Tables. You just got, let me show you this. Anarchist Cookbook. This is, I don't know, kind of gimmicky. 750 over-the-counter stocks. Again, this is all AFA, so the American Federation of Astrology chart book. So you're not a real astrologer until you have to buy these books, which is The History of Time Changes. The amount of times I've been with clients and we've had a chart rectification issue because of time changes, and then you go, well, you know, when did Kazakhstan actually make their time zones? Because Kazakhstan for a long time was only 2 time zones when it's like the size of 5 time zones. And then what does that do for a birth chart calc? It's so fucking stupid. But anyway, when you learn about the history of time changes, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, and you got to have these books. You learn a lot about time changes. This book I've had since I was a kid. It means a lot to me. I used to read this all the time because I was really into motocross. Very good book. I don't know. I got this at like a yard sale or something. The complete book of business plans. Look, I'm a Jupiter and Capricorn. It's what I want. The American Atlas. This is, again, expanded 5th edition, U.S. longitudes and latitudes, time changes and time zones. So I might sit here and be like, you should get this. You know why I have this? Because if a supernova hits or something hits to where we no longer have electricity, I'm still going to be pulling birth charts. I'm still going to be the local wizard, and I'm going to be able to read birth charts because I have all of the old technical books on it. This was actually, this is the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and it's Images of the Zodiac in Islamic Art. Really cool book. I forgot where I found that. Judith Hill's Medical Astrology. And that's pretty much it. Oh, this book. Profiles of Crime. Some of you sick bitches love getting off to murderers and serial killers. So if you need a book to get off to, this is a good one of all of your favorite serial killer and murderers' birth charts. And I just honestly, the design of this book fucks so hard. This is such a good design of a book. And then, of course, we have $100 million offers, Alex Mosey, because it's not a real book collection unless you've got some business stuff in there. And that's the library. That's all of my books. Again, I've got quite a collection. If you guys... Again, I'm not going to have any affiliate links or anything like that in my, thing. So let me know, I guess, what your comments are, what your thoughts are, and I'll see you later.